Great intro. Yeah, it's really cool to be here. Thank you, obviously, for coming. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as cool. I mean, it was still be cool. It was just us, but these things are always weird. Sometimes you just like get right to the technique and stuff, but sometimes I feel like it's important to kind of go through the whole like intro portion of the show and stuff because people see, me now, really, and it's like I was always me, and some of these guys know me from a previous life, but that was already after I had already done a bunch of things before I met those guys too, so that was already after like some big changing and stuff like that at that point. So it's like, I was really thinking about this a lot, like on the way here and even like last night and stuff, like what, should I say anything or should I just kind of get right to it, but like, it is important, it is important to like think about the journey from like day one, whatever that was to now even, and that was like January of 2008 or so. So I'm kind of like a bit of a New Year's resolution there in the way that it happened like at the first of the year, but I'd already like had a bunch of plans in place. I left Bainbridge and like flew to what I assumed was Los Angeles, California, but it was San Bernardino, California. They're close on a map, but far from each other in life. But it was the best experience being there because I was terrified and stayed inside. Didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything, just trained, learned as much as I could, worked hard, cleaned the mats, turned the lights on, turned the lights off, all the stuff because I just was really finally, I think, in my space for the first time, like somewhere that I was really comfortable. I was 25 at this point, by the way, and 380 pounds when I finally like left to go do something because I was never going to do it where I was at. I was going to die there. I was going to die in Bainbridge or be in jail or, one of those cliche things, maybe have a family and a job that I hated at best, stuff like that. So I just really didn't want to do that. I've been lucky and smart or whatever the case was and hadn't had any children's or, like situations with people. So I was free, to do what I wanted to do at that point. Man, it was hard. Like it was really, really hard, really hard. People talk about it, but like I lost a bunch of matches at white belt. Like I didn't win a single time at white belt before I finally got my blue belt for losing a professional MMA fight to Dan Severn. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. It doesn't really mean as much now maybe to a lot of the people as it did from a previous era. And then it was still kind of like, a little cheeky because he's older, but still like a legit, situation for someone like me. Who was on the
Because you actually won it. 3-round fight that Dan Severn said he wasn't going to fight the third round on an Indian reservation.
Listen, I can't say. So here, this is the thing about some of that stuff with the benefit of like being on the other side of life a little bit more. Maybe that is what he got agreed to through the promoter. And I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I didn't know that. Maybe I didn't know that the promoter told him he can do that because I've had the promoter offer me some sleazy shit now to get over on somebody else because I was the favored person who sold more tickets and things like that too. So you see it, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Back then it was definitely clear to me that they all cheated and they were in on it together and whatever. But it was still like a really good experience for me. Lost the decision, got my blue belt. When I got back, my coach was like, yeah, you should probably not just be a white belt out here making it, 15 minutes with somebody at that level. If you don't know who it is, look it up. It'll take too long to talk about it. It was fun. That was like 15 years ago now, though, right? So since then, I had to come back home. Home being Georgia, which was Valdosta. That's where I met Jay and Chase, and started living with my now wife, Mandy. So we've been together for a long time. She was in college at Valdosta State, fought MMA, fought like 10 fights or something in 2 or 3 years when I was there as a professional down here, somewhere in the area. Won and lost a bunch, just because that's the way it is. I wasn't really the guy that was going to go out there and knock people out with one punch. I had to go out there and like put in work to win, and wasn't good enough to beat some of the better like athletes still at that point. So I lost some decisions. I got cut one time pretty nasty to a guy. So like, a bunch of stuff. So fought a whole MMA career, blah, 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 ended up in San Diego. Didn't have any plans to be with 10th Planet ever, like in my life. That was never like a plan whatsoever. And so this is like something that just happened in the last couple of weeks. So I was already kind of like thinking about this. This is where I say like life's crazy. Recently there was like that shooting in Colorado Springs. The guy who went on the shooting there. His dad is a retired MMA fighter from back in the day. And he was a heavyweight, his name's Aaron Brink. He fought in the UFC, he fought in Pride, he fought in all these things or whatever. When I first moved to San Diego, I didn't know anybody. So I met this guy at sparring. This was all before all this other stuff happened or whatever. He came to 10th Planet San Diego to spar sometimes. He invited me to come over there. We met there one day. I met all the guys, didn't have a home team, kind of just ended up staying, So that's kind of how that happened. I was there every day after that, like every day, all day. 5 days, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, all the time. Had a second child, too hard to do it, too hard to keep up with everything financially, everything time-wise, to be fair to everybody, fighting. It just didn't work. And then some new cracked my orbital bone on a day I was not supposed to be at training. So I had to call my wife, who was making all her money, to come leave her job to take me to the ER so I could get my brain checked. And that was like that was a heavy time. A lot of people don't know that. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't know about that stuff. I wasn't here. So everybody here thinks it was just like this whole thing where I was out there with 10th Planet. It was like, oh, boom, I made it to the stars and everything. Like, man, that shit sucked. It was hard sometimes. It was a lot of hard days, right? Every day. Scrapping out with really tough people every day. Every day. Guys that could kick my ass every day. Every day. You know what I mean? But that's how I got to where I am now, though, is always being that person, right? I still mock them ass. I still mocked them when I was out there after I got my black belt, after I had my brown belt, everything. If nobody's like grabbing the stuff to get it done, you got to get it done. Doesn't matter if it's your school, as in like ownership on the lease or whatever. It's like you train on those mats. Do you want to get like infections and be dirty? Do you want to like have a dirty place? So that's just one of those kind of things. And like, if you ever want to be somebody, you got to try to start being that person. It doesn't just like happen. You don't just like get that. You don't just get like granted something. Like getting rank and getting like my black belt and getting all these things. It didn't really give me anything that day, except for like some street cred, I guess, in a way. But I didn't get better at anything. I didn't really get better at like teaching or anything. You know what I mean? So in a way that reset the clock for me. And so like it's a cliche to say that, but like when you get the black belt, everybody's like, oh man, you made it or whatever. It's like, not if you really care. Not if you really care. You just kind of started now because you're the worst guy in the room. At least in the rooms you're trying to get in. Right? You finally get accepted to the club and now you're the dumbest one. It's true though, right? And so, but that's where you want to be though. That's where you want to be. You want to really be in those tough rooms with the smart people. You want to be with the better people. You don't want to be in there where you're the one that's always the smartest, always the best, always the strongest or most athletic or whatever you are the most of. You don't always want to be that, right? That's a good thing to have, but you want to have people that can beat you at what you do too, or otherwise like you're falling behind, right? And one of my mentors told me this, and it really makes a lot of sense. Like, but you got to wake up every day thinking how to beat yourself. You got to wake up because you already know, and you could lie. You being me, myself too, right? You can lie to whoever and tell them like whatever you want to say about anything else, but you always know. You always know when you quit. You always know when you gave your best. You always know when you didn't prepare. You always know when you maybe over-prepared. Like nobody else has to know even, but you always will know, right? So that's where it becomes like this really personal thing, okay? And I think that's why people get lost in what's happening. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be this thing about community. It's supposed to be a thing about like training and having like self-defense skills or sporting skills or whatever it is for you as the individual, right? So that's where kind of like what Stewart says, like, I didn't take a chance with them. They came up here. I moved here from San Diego and didn't really have ties to Middle Georgia except for like teaching and training. Otherwise, I'm not from there. You know what I mean? So these guys were driving as far as, it's like how far was it today, Jerry?
2.5 hours.
Something like that. It was a long way.
It was a nice nap for Jay.
From Perry to here, down 75 and across, you know what I'm saying? And so Nate, Colby, and then Wesley started coming to me. So it was like they were taking a chance on me. Do you know what I mean? And I felt the way that he says that he feels. You know what I mean? That's the great part about this stuff is when it's like a real thing like that. And it's not forced. It's not like, for me, it's not financially motivated at all. Like he makes whatever he makes here, and I don't charge him for anything that I do except for we're doing this seminar or whatever. Like, but month to month to be my guy, it costs him $0. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that he wants to, and he really wants to, and so I'm down with that. I'm okay with that, and I'm cool with that. As long as he's a cool person and a good person, I'm okay with that. But if he's not, then I would have been okay with that too, that they were coming up there and training and hanging out and doing, lessons and learning jiu-jitsu or whatever. Because I was always doing stuff too. I was always traveling and training and learning and doing stuff. That's how I got better too. It's normal. It should be normal, okay? So with all of that stuff said, break down some of this truck stuff in a simple way, hopefully at first. And then if we can get through that part, then by the end of the session, we should really be able to get deeper into like some of the nuanced stuff, right? So just kind of bear with me if you have some experience with it, and let's just kind of go through some of the simple things, and then from there we can go through like some of the more, like I said, complicated transitions and finishes and stuff like that. Okay. I think a good way to approach it is from this kind of seated position where I'm going to get the back and kind of start from there. Okay. You could do this from turtle. And we'll get around for some of that. You can imagine he's a turtle, but this kind of gives a good visual, I feel like, for the first bit of time. All right, so everybody's aware of like both hooks, and like a seat belt or double unders or whatever the case is, right? Essentially, for me, the way that I started learning about it is if I had a seat belt on this side, I would let him do his bridge up, boom, he'd come back, and then start to win the head fight, and I would put this foot underneath right there. Okay, and then from there, back up. Once I had that, as he was going over, I've essentially already got the one hook that I need for the truck. Okay, so the first way that I thought about it was half back. Not really the truck per se, right? Because we're still like square, or like we're still like straight with each other right here. Okay, the truck is a little bit different. It can be, it's one hook, but it's slightly different, right? So I started learning what I think is like called halfback now or whatever. And so then when I was coming back, he'd come over, I'd flip that, and then I could just lace this figure 4 right here. Okay, so if you sit up from there and not hurt yourself. See, it's kind of hard for that to happen while we're in that kind of sit-up position by itself because it starts putting some torque on him. Okay. So we would get here, and as he was trying to win his head fight and was winning it, he would spin to this position, which is the truck, right? So it's the one hook. I've got his hips basically sitting on my ribs, like on my stomach, on my side, whatever you want to think about, but not off to the ground. He can't be like off me with his butt and stuff. It needs to be right here. I don't want him even to be like side to side. If you guys are familiar with that even, he can't be here because he's already escaping. I need him more here. So I've got this. If you only have this can start getting pretty dangerous, especially if you're like hooking out here with him, because if he curls his leg really hard, it's gonna like put a ton of force towards my knee right there. It doesn't maybe feel like it or look like it from here yet, but just trust me. You want to work on getting to like this figure 4, right? And having a lockdown kind of idea first, right? Mostly this figure 4, so I can control his foot and his leg. That way, if he tries to like hammer down with your leg, like the other way too, right? So if he goes that way, I can keep it, right? And not let him get away. And then I can keep him this way, all right? And I've still got seatbelt on this side if I wanted it. And I can step over from there and just be like right back in, okay? So I sucked at this because I didn't know what was going on, right? It was such a foreign thing to me because I was a brown belt already, had not really learned a lot of it, had only really seen people do it, the really like exotic moves or whatever that just didn't really make sense from far away, excuse me. And then finally started getting like my hands on some of it a lot, and really actively trying to do it. And so like I said, I think I want you guys just to kind of try to play with this idea, and then if we can do this, we'll move on pretty quickly to some other more like cool stuff that's maybe cool to you. It was really cool to me. So if I'm in, I've got my head fight or whatever, boom, he's gonna go back, over, I've dropped. So to say this hook, and I'm going behind his knee to push him over. I can't let him turn and scrape. If he starts scraping his hits, I'm in trouble. Okay? So another way to think about the truck, it's the first hook everybody's taught you that you have to have when you're taking the back. If you're familiar with that, you gotta have that first hook. That's your truck hook. The first one. Not the secondary hook. If you're using it, he's gonna be escaping. We'll talk about all that later too, but you gotta think of it maybe like that way. So if he was turtled and I'm on his back and I kind of somehow snuck my foot into there, it's just the first one. Okay, so he's up, right, he's in there, whatever. Stepping over though once I get it. I'm pulling him back up. Right, so in reality you're here. If he bridges himself back, where are they? Okay, because he's trying to win that head fight. So he's trying to go that particular direction, okay? And so one of the things that I like to use and stress to as many people as I can is that like there's a few ideas about how to do this stuff. And one is like, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. You know, which is like I'm just imposing my will and I'm just gonna do what I wanna do, whatever the case is, right? For me, I like to think of it more as like I do this and it initiates a response. And then that response initiates another response from me. And if he doesn't do anything, then sometimes that means it's time to attack. But when he moves a certain way, instead of always like resisting hard, just kind of go with it. So letting him learn or letting him like peel this off a few times, I started learning how to use this as a really good weapon for myself with the truck. But until I was willing to let somebody start even getting away, because I was like, see, you know, just to be like, I gotta win every exchange. I can't lose any exchanges. Coach may be watching. If he sees me lose one exchange, I'm gonna get my black belt. All right, I'm gonna hold on. But then that's probably why I wasn't getting my black belt, and I didn't know. Because I was still trying to win too much in the wrong situations. Right? So you gotta play the game, is what I try to say now to everybody. Like, you gotta play the game. If you're not playing the game, that's when shit gets rough. Okay? So one more time. Just to kind of get a little bit of a feel with it. You're just gonna end up in the same exact position you kind of started in, right? You're gonna be here. I keep doing this because it's just the way that I'm gonna do it either way. Like habit again. So we're in, he's gonna bridge me up. He's trying to win the head fight. Out, and I'm going under, over, 3 or 4. From there to there. That's why it helps to bridge him over. And if I can't catch this, then I'll hang on for a bit. Because now if he tries to move, try to move. What do we do this foot? He put it right there. He can't just hide it, try to hide it again. Now try to move. Right, he goes right there. Okay, so I'm just kind of holding this. I can let this go. Pull him back, get your shoulders to the mat right here. Like a pin. Kinda, but I don't want to let him get too far off. Holding this, okay, getting it back to where he's on his side. So top person, you gotta kind of rock with this a little bit with my hips, right? I'm doing like a little bit of a knee pump right here. Boom. When I go here, he's on the ground, on the hips, sit him up. Okay.
Are you practicing using the legs to hurling back so you're not reaching as much with your arms to get it?
Yes. Trying to have independent use of my arms and legs. They're 4 different things. They're doing 4 different things sometimes. Okay, they're not legs do this, arms do this, or this side does that, this side does that. It's like these two do 2 different things and these two do 2 different things. Okay? So that's it. Once he gets over here, it's kind of, you can lay back on most of that and be like, oh, I'm escaping. Oh no, start scraping me out. So you go in. Bam, there you go. Keep going, keep striking. He's kind of giving it to you, right? And then there's a bunch of cool stuff if he does this. Okay? And so a lot of times when you grab them like this, they're gonna try to go the other way anyway, really hard. So you can sit up, grab, boom, and come back. Okay? If you know, you know. If you don't, you will by the end of the day. Okay? So grab a partner. I'm gonna set a clock just because I'll talk about the same thing all day. So that'll just kind of help me break up the pattern some. Okay? If you guys have questions, just ask. Don't like hesitate to ask. There's no dumb question. If you're thinking that somebody else is probably thinking it, or it could be something simple that I just didn't talk about. That happens a ton. Okay? So just ask me anything you got, okay? If I've got Jay here, and we'll be coming this way, so you gotta be careful. But if I've done whatever, was here, you know, he's coming across, he's winning this, I get this, see he's hanging on to it, so that's okay, I'm gonna wait, I'll dig this out. But as I'm going for whatever, if he starts going that way hard, I'm going with him, and I'm trying to come up and go behind him. And I would just roll to here. And if I want to just take the back, I do the same thing and sit up and be able to have the back from there, okay? So that's another one of those things about going with him. Shit. They're coming. That's one of those things I was saying kind of about going with it sometimes instead of like resisting everything. Because if he's pulling away and I'm holding really hard with my legs, potential for one of us to get hurt is higher, you know? And even though I'm trying to win, I'm really not really trying to hurt somebody also. And I'm not saying that's going to win the most matches, but that's just kind of how I kind of played it a little bit more. But then I think long term that helped me because I learned how to chase things in a way that was better to know more ins and outs rather than just shutting everything down too, you know. So he's going that way, just go with him. Don't worry about it. You know, it's not the end of the world if he beats you on one position. If they win one position, you shouldn't fall apart. Okay, you should be fine. It's gonna be okay. You've done this before. You've done stuff like this before. Your guard's good. You know what I mean? It may not be the best part of your game, whatever. You know what I mean? You gotta know that. You gotta know that you've done this enough times that if you try it and it misses, you know where the next spot is. There's no reason to panic. You know what I mean? If you panic, it's gone. Everything's gone. Okay? So just try to go with it sometimes. Or maybe just let them go is better. But holding on to a bad idea, still, it's like a worse idea. Yeah, don't make a bad situation worse, you know what I'm saying? Sir.
Can I see it again?
Sure.
One more time, I don't know if to do it.
So it's essentially this. He's in turtle. Okay? I had his back from the whole thing that we did. He's in turtle. I've got the one hook now. Okay? I had this from when we were on our back, okay? This is hard to dig out from here. That's why we're not gonna really do that exact one from here, right? Because digging that whole thing out is hard, but it's possible, right? And this is what I meant by this is your first hook, right? Coach says first hook first, right? So I got his back here, I got my first hook, and instead of spending all my time doing the thing everybody else does, going for seatbelts, attacking his upper body, I'm just making a figure 4 and lacing right here, okay? So from there, I'm coming, like I said, where I wanted his butt at, across my belly. And I'm gonna look over here at that fresh mullet. Okay, I'm gonna shoulder roll. I can grab this foot for safety too. Boom, right, boom, behind him. And then
That wasn't my question. You're gonna grab it with that inside hand?
this one?
Diving? Yeah.
That's one thing, yeah.
Okay.
There's a bunch of things. We're about to actually kind of talk about it, but in a way that we're not gonna do quite this part from there yet.
Hey.
Okay. So I think if we're starting from turtle, there's a better way than trying to dig out that figure 4 if you're trying to just go for the truck. Okay.
Do you think of that as an attack to turtle?
Sir?
Are you thinking of it as an attack to turtle?
100%.
Okay.
100%. Right. And so that's the thing is like if I can get that first hook in, I've already got half of what I need for the back. And so that's my main goal for sure. Keep going. No reason to like give away what you already got. You know what I mean? But if you want the truck, then definitely it's a great way to attack it going that way. But my first like thing is maybe, and let's just, to avoid having to really do a big entry, we went like snap down, we turned the corner, and we're on his back in this kind of like side position. Can you get a turtle for me? And so if he's in this wrestler's position, kind of with his hands up, wide open, all day. That's what I want, is that space. Okay, so I've turned, I've hit the corner on him. If he's down on his elbows, get on your elbows just a little bit, a little better. I'm looking for space here, okay? I want to get my knee into the window. So if you see the window that's over here, I'm gonna stick my knee right there on the stop, basically, towards where that window is. The bigger the guy, the less I care about how like heavy my knee is, because we can take it. You know what I mean? If it's somebody like Jay, I try to finesse it a little bit more. But honestly, if I'm going with somebody like Jay, I'm gonna have to be able to finesse it a little bit more. I'm not gonna be able to just shove it in, because he's gonna be faster than me. So when I go fast, he's gonna beat me to the corner, right? So it's always this, you know, for me the same, but for you, you know, maybe you feel a little different about how to play it. Sticking my knee in that window, facing kind of the wrong way. Okay, so we're all used to doing it this way, right? So I was in here side riding. Every big guy in the world hits that Peterson or whatever you call it, the fat boy roll. Turtle guard, respectfully. We all do it. It's super, and some of you may other people do it too. But once I get here, I'm not trying to commit all that. I'm staying here and I'm turning, and I want to get my knee right into that window there. And I'm going to step essentially like on his ankle and heel right here if he's not moving fast. All right, so I'm going here, and I'm just going to rock back. And I got that. And then I'm going to switch. 1, 2. Oh, missed it. 3. And now I got what I want first, which is probably, you know, if you're going against a gymnast or somebody, this may not be your first one, okay? But against most dudes.
Old guys.
Definitely old guys, okay? Definitely old guys, okay? What I'm trying to do here is get my arm in to this position, okay? Making an S grip, okay? If I can't get it from here, I'm trying to pull this to my face, but you see how that bottom leg is coming with me? When I do it, I'm making sure it doesn't come. And I'm trying to pull it. He's tapping. Okay? There's a way that if he's like a little further down with his leg right here, and he's kind of giving some fight to it a little bit, you end up in that same kind of, so you keep your loop closed once I'm in here. Once I've got this, right, I'm trying to get it, if he's not tapping, you know what I mean? And this happens with some other people, right? So the first time I just kind of stretched him. This time he's not. Here I'm trying to get the back of my hand into his knee, right? I'm still doing all my things right here with my lock first. Palm to palm, S grip, knuckles, white tap.
She tight, what you doing?
All right, I'm gonna take it off a little bit. And I'm trying to bring my head behind my head and lay back while still doing like the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Why were you tapping?
I'm
Because
sitting
I
there with a
would
wrench.
all this?
But that's what I'm saying, no. You know, like, some people could eat that. I've had some people that just like do a split and they're looking at me. All right, then. Noted, I'll move on. But it's a good first check for a lot of people, my size, my weight, my age, etc. But, you know, there's the rare guy for sure who does splits. But if you're a teenager, a lot of people get away with just doing dumb stuff that works. And ladies, I don't know, there's probably a lot more of y'all that do it. I don't have to roll with a lot of women, I'm too big. Get to avoid those beat ups. So yeah, so we done, we spun around. He's in turtle. Right? And so instead of like even committing anything to this, right? I am being like, from in this side ride position, maybe the first thing you want to do is step on his foot. Okay, the first thing I said was put the knee in the window, but maybe the first thing you want to do is when you turn is to try to find the foot with your foot, right? So when I'm turning right here, if there's something that's happening, I may step up, hit this, and if that hurts, which way are you going, Jay? Right there. You need this control. On the bottom part of his leg, boom, boom, boom. And this is how it works as a pin for those of you wrestlers. Okay, both shoulders down. If he defends or whatever somehow, That's how the rest of the game starts to open up, right? Usually his other leg is a good idea for control, the second leg, okay? So turn your hands one way or the other and see which one you think might be better for you, okay? You may think this way, you may think this way. Oh, you may think that way. Right? Jay doesn't think so. But if you can get this elbow deep, I can like rear naked choke that thing. Okay, so then I got a 2-on-1 and a 2-on-1. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm getting as many 2-on-1s as I possibly can throughout the whole match. Kimuras, trucks, lockdowns, Americanas.
Hey, from that same position, sorry, Jay.
He's getting some work. It's okay. He's getting
Hey, if you
flexible.
get that rear naked choke grip, it'll be tighter if you grab the back of your head from there.
Ooh, I don't ever get to do it really.
I don't know. I'm just curious. I just saw it.
I'm sure you could.
No. Lock it up and then take that. And
This
grab
one?
the back of your head. Would that if you grab the back of your neck at all? Does
I
that make
mean,
it tighter?
sure.
Could you straighten your head?
Yeah.
If you grab the back of your neck, does it make it?
I don't like putting pressure into my neck anymore,
Gotcha.
so I don't want to rely on it that way. I feel like if I can get my elbows tight, I already tap. Because I'm using my core in a way. I don't want to rely on my head and my neck anymore. My neck hurts literally every day, all day. Sorry, Jerry. Okay, I'm doing stuff like that. Finishing arm triangles from the top or whatever, like bending my head to dig out the elbow and stuff like that. So now I really try not to use any of that stuff. Does it work? Yes. I wouldn't rely on it though for long-term stuff because eventually it's not going to work. So I would say I wouldn't want you to do that if I were your full-time coach. But yes, it would totally add some crank to it. Stepping on the ankle or Achilles or whatever is a really like mean way to start doing it. Okay. That's what I said. I wouldn't always do that to people. Typically for me, and this is the thing about it too. It's like because if I do something like that, that's gonna really draw a big response from you. You know what I mean? It's gonna probably hurt a little bit, and if it doesn't hurt, at the very least, it's gonna piss him off. Right? So I'm just trying to get him just kind of convinced that this is cool. You know what I'm saying? We were rolling, but I'm not trying to hurt him. What? We're just rolling. Right? But the first time you get hurt, you want to fight back a lot, right? That's what I'm saying. I want him to kind of feel like he's okay still. It's cool. You know what I mean? And may not even know what I'm doing. You know? He may just be like, what's happening? He'll wait to see what's up. And it's too late then, you know, at that point. But if I'm always just snatching and grabbing, I'm creating a fist fight. Sometimes I want to. There's a guy sometimes it's like, hey, I'm going to go in here and start like pushing this person around and like take advantage of the fact that I think they're going to break if I do that. And there's some people it's like, I just don't want to deal with it that way. You know, I don't want to make them mad. You know, and like it's just not a smart strategy. Some people are smart, some people it's not smart. It's not about like being tough always. It's about winning. You know, in that way, we're all tough. We got to consider that. You got to already consider yourself that. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys credit for being tough already today. All right, so never worry about that part again. Finally, Chase. I know you've been waiting for that moment for a long time. All right,
Everybody just gets Okay.
it's a hard time, right? These guys, hey, like you said, these new guys, they get a little bit like streamlined training, and you know, they learn a little faster than we did sometimes. I'd almost kill this teenage kid. Never mind. He's in class. So like, I'm sitting like this kind of right here with the knees coming in. But if I really want to hit that superior angle, I almost want to like hit that turn and break him down towards the shoulder. And I've got that goes here. Figure four it. Or if I really want to hit this, I don't even have to figure four it. I can just start pulling that in, turning my hand out where he's tight. So I just start pushing that out. And I can figure four it. I like that better myself for control. But definitely you get extra leverage doing that, just like you would if you could get your elbow deep, like right here. Okay? So let's work that out a little bit. And I want you guys to think about this. If your partner taps at a certain point before you start extending things, and you feel like you have just a little bit of room left, maybe let's ask them about their flexibility and stuff like that first, maybe. But then also, you may not be in the right position, because I want you to think about like all that extra space. It's like, that's what's going to injure them if they don't tap. Is you're going to continue with your strength and force going into that space where I was just like, hold on a second, and let go of one thing or the other. You're going to continue to apply force through that whole range. And they tapped when it first started hurt. So that's what I'm saying. If you have that much range left, it's like, I think you got it. You know what I mean? You're gonna get more people to tap than not. But if you don't have that much range, people are gonna slip a lot. You know what I mean? So have extra room, I guess is what I'm saying. You don't want to bring like just a little bit of rope. You want to have enough. If his knees are bent, okay, and this is just talking about like mechanism per se. If it's bent, I'm trying to open more of like a clamshell, right, with the knees bent. That's the banana split. Okay, if he's pulling his knees to his chest and trying to stay tight, that's when this one really comes into play. The defense for this is for him to kick that leg straight really, really hard. Boom, and now I can't do that. But so I don't want to lose my grip. Kick it down, sorry, I'll relax. But see what I'm saying? Like I can hold it so hard that you can almost not do it, but a lot of that's a size thing. I wanted to keep that ring there, meaning my S grip, because it kept this loop somewhat closed. And now I'm in here holding this, and I'm still stretching, and I'm hugging this knee this way, okay? This is the crotch ripper. Okay, crotch ripper. They're both kind of looking the same. You know what I mean? To some people, they think this is the banana split, but the way to beat this is to pull your knee to your chest. And then I go there. And then he kicks it straight, and then I go here. And then he pulls his knee in, and then I go here. And then he goes there again. Boom.
We're gonna start drilling that.
Okay. And at any point, he's given, you know, so like I said before, he's wearing himself out a little bit. But a lot of times you can chase the finish on one of these, and especially finding that last little bit of like out there stretch, you know, stretch with some of this stuff, okay? So those are two of the major plays I want you guys to think about with it. So we've already done a bunch of stuff or whatever the case is. I've passed guard to side control, okay? Everybody's kind of familiar with some side controls. Like standard, kind of like chest to chest side control where I'm like both knees down or whatever kind of things. And then there's the one where your knees are up, you know, kind of scarf hold, in case you get time, if you want to call it that, or we call it judo side. And then the other is reverse, in case you get time, I guess, or we call it twister side control. Okay, so without going into a ton of that was in my other way, was like doing like a pass to get here. I've ended up in inside control, okay? I want to have this elbow under his armpit. I don't want to have my arm above his head, or above his shoulder line, I mean to say. If it's up there, it's not quite the right situation to do what we want to do, okay? So for this scenario, I want you to have your elbow under their armpit a little bit, okay? Very important detail that everybody's gonna probably forget later, which is just something that you have to keep practicing and relearn if you do forget it, is my knee placement. It can't go below his hip line. I can't be down here on his butt or anything like that for this to actually work well. I need to be up, essentially to where I could like go for like a knee on belly kind of situation, at least where his hip line is. Okay. A lot of people would turn towards you because they don't want to give up their back. Okay, if he goes the other way from here, right? If we can all agree that if I'm here and he starts going this way and walking away, I can just turn, start taking this cast back in some fashion or the other, right? So he's gonna try to battle to come back this way. So I'm checking his hips and everything, right? And I'm pushing myself back. All right. When he turns hard enough towards me, where he's trying to step again, Jay. He's coming this way. I'm gonna let him bring that leg up to almost where he can grab mine. Okay, I'm gonna turn around. And I end up essentially where my knee is right into that fold. See what I'm saying? So that's about as far as he can get. And he could try to step over and get my ankle and try to like pull it over or whatever, stuff like that too. But the fact that I've got that little wedge typically gives me a little bit more success. Okay? I'm laying back like this because I'm trying to talk to y'all a little bit more and not put all this weight on Jay.
Where should your weight be at?
Right here. Right up over here.
If y'all can see what I saw, it's right where it's supposed to be.
Okay. Like I'm sitting forward and on a smaller person like Jay, I'm really like getting tight. Okay, and that's the thing. On a bigger person, this could be a little bit easier sometimes or harder depending on your arm length or their girth or whatever it is. I wanna get left hand, we let him like turn up, and I get under his hip right there with that, called love handle. If you don't know, look it up. Love handle. It's a hook on his hip. The other, I want to go over his top leg and under the bottom leg. Now, this isn't the position that you're going to want to always have to go to. Okay, you don't always have to do this. If you do this every time, it's going to make it a lot slower, like in transition or whatever, to have to get all the way down or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. Like, some people, you need to, right? I'm gonna cook him right here. I'm gonna slow him down, make him like slow himself down, get tired, wear himself down, you know, and I can hold this if he struggles. And like I said, for Jay, it's kind of hard for me to get all the way down even comfortably enough to really like smash without really like putting some heavy strength into it also. So I'm gonna try not to do it as much, right? So you want love handle fishnet against somebody who's pretty tough, and you gotta hold on to him, right? And if you're thinking about maybe self-defense scenarios or anything, he can't reach his pockets down here as long as I don't have anything in my pockets or whatever that they can grab at. And then I'm typically probably okay. But at the very least, what I want to do from here though is I want to go, if you can imagine the position that we were in before, where I stepped on his ankle, right there. Okay, I'm not sticking my knee out. My knee is still staying into his hip. And so this is what I was saying about the weight. I'm not gonna try to like take the pressure off of this guy. I'm pulling myself up and rocking this over and under. Mm-hmm. And now from here, I can start really like trying to finish that and slide out and finish that. And he's gonna tap from there. But if they don't tap a lot of times and I have all that, he's pushing me down. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons you see me laying back is because naturally I want him to feel like he's gotta push me off of him. And when he pushes me, I finally come up hip to hip and I roll behind his butt. And we have all that. If he goes too far, I chase. And I got his back. You can do this.
I was just thinking.
Okay? So, all that to say, knee in the hip line. Okay? Whatever way we're doing it. If it's my left leg, it's his left leg. Right? That's the hook leg. For this instance. If I'm gonna attack with the other side, my right leg would hook his right leg. Okay, we're facing the same way. I'm in the hip. Left and left. Making that hook. You don't have to do this part where you hold this either. I like it because it makes them feel really crappy about themselves. And it gives me the opportunity to come up like this, and while he's trying to kick or pull or whatever, I can just kind of lift this. And then he tries to like pull his leg down really hard or something, whatever he does, I let it slip. And then I've got my figure four laced up. The tendency is to try to roll up here. Okay, but I want y'all to think about his hips. And one of the best things I was taught was like his hips are like it's like a cinder block right here. Is everybody familiar with that? Like a block, two holes or whatever. If I roll like over the block, that's kind of clunky. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to get behind it with my body. Okay, I don't want to be above his butt. I want to be behind it. So I'm trying to get all the way down here, if I could. Okay, because I could really be attacking. Like I was saying, I could be stretching the shit out of this if I wanted to. But I'm gonna just kind of let this wind up here as I come over. See how it'll bring him smoothly to that kind of position. I don't want to let him go that far. Right? So if he goes too far, it's not good for you. Can you go back, Jake? Can you do a roll?
Can he do a roll?
Okay. So the difference in that and this is, if you get here, now Jay has a 50-50 shot with me if he's good. He's not, but if he was, he could try to do some stuff and like spin me or whatever and get the position back. So what I'm trying to do is take away the ability for that time to exist. Where we're kind of in that like, I think I've seen people online doing it drunk, like Indian leg wrestling or whatever. Right. I ain't trying to do all that. I'm trying to keep my advantage that I earned by getting on top and having that structural like advantage with my body, 2-on-1, using my weight, no matter what weight you are, use it to your advantage, okay? And if he don't push you off, just stay there. Move to mount, move to something else. You don't have to do this roll. We're just talking about this because I'm talking about the choke, okay? This is just an idea. I'm not even telling you it's the best idea, okay? But if you can get this, you can probably get all the other choke stuff, okay? If he's not framing me out, and I'm just rocking back here.
Hey.
If he's not pushing you down.
He's not pushing me, I can just pull him.
Yes. Okay?
Okay.
If you're up high, fall back, down low, roll.
So if you ever understand anything that's infuriating, is that in jiu-jitsu, whatever is true, the completely opposite thing of that is also true at the same time. It's infuriating, but that is what you gotta know, right? It's always the case. Whatever is happening, the opposite thing will shut it down. Okay? Once he's over here, okay, and he's up, like this hook is powerful in a way, but this is what makes me nervous for everybody when they're first learning it a little bit. Is like we get excited and we start doing things with just this one leg, and you feel like this hook is really strong because it is in some positions, but right here, what happens a lot of times for him to get out, like we were talking about, he starts like, if he kicks his leg out straight, that's not the worst thing, right? The thing I'm worried about is if he curls his leg, start curling it really hard. And you see how that starts making my knee turn? It happens really, really fast like that right there. And if you can relax a little bit there, it twists my knee really fast and sharp right there. Okay, so, oh girl. That's why I like this figure 4 now, because if he tries to do that, it takes it away. That's why I like this, because if he tries to do it, it takes it away. And so that's why you'll hear me stress a bunch of times about having some sort of reinforcement with this leg that I'm shaking right here. Because if it's just holding on by itself, I've accidentally hurt people too in this situation, not even like going hard, just kind of going through the motions and their leg got kind of bound up in a weird way. So it's worth taking the time to hit this figure 4, okay? And so now, once I've gotten here, we haven't really talked anything about there's a ton of calf slicers and different things, and I can show you some of those really quick, but I'll show you some other stuff first. You can use this in any order of operation, right? A good way to think of it could be the calf slicers first, right? So I got here, I've got this foot, I'm holding his toes, I pull my knees in, I've got these, that's a calf slicer. Okay, pretty straightforward. Can you do the thing where we're talking about keep your foot straight? Right, so I'm holding the toes for control. If I hold the ankle kick, that goes that way. So that's one of the reasons I may go ahead and go for that S grip kind of thing, because it's hard to hold their leg if you don't have their toes. If I have his toes here though, I like to try to give this a shot. Pulling it in and trying to get this. And then if you go here, it works, but somebody who hates themselves and just doesn't care, they're gonna grab your foot right here and start like cranking on you too. Okay, so I try to avoid that and keep my leg further away. So I do this one if I can. Okay, or in and out. Okay, in the same way. But I would just recommend the other ones first. Okay, so you can try those, but then when he starts defending that stuff, that's when I would switch to this grip. Okay, so how can you defend the other thing? Because we already talked if he pulls his knee to his chest. Tap, right if he kicks it straight, tap, right he pulls it in again. He don't want to get tapped, he's going to use his arms to grab. If he does that, it's not going to help him. He's grabbing me. He just signed his death warrant for sure then, right? So I got everything I need. I point my hands up if you can't see, come somewhere you can see. This hand grabs his wrist. Okay, this hand right there kind of just holds on. I can grab my own wrist some. I'm mostly just literally just pulling this hook up though. I'm not really doing much with it at first. I'm pulling and pulling, and I want to stick my elbow right into the serratus, I think is what it's called. That little soft spot right there up under his lat, around the ribs area a little bit, and encourage him to let that thing go. And then I'm gonna hug it to my chest. And it's called baseball bat control. Okay, if he tries to run away, try to run away. I'm holding this. Okay, try to turn over, belly down almost. I put his hand behind his back, claw grip, pull him in, Start chucking him until he taps. Okay? I want to show you that because that's what we're gonna do if he tries to do the other thing. Okay, if he goes that way, that's what we're doing. If he doesn't, he's staying here. I want you to take this. There's another way for you, like you really flexible people that somebody else will have to show you. I'm gonna show you this way because this is the way I like. Here, I'm going above my head with it, and I put my head over his arm. Okay, once I'm here, I still kind of hold on this a little bit, but realistically, I can hold this. Can you pull away? Right, I'm really putting my head back onto that. Okay, and then I want to come over and up. Okay, I grab that claw because I like to just some stuff that nobody can hear, you know, because it's between us. Mm-hmm. And then I go palm down because it's just a little bit smoother. I don't want to get that mullet messed up, you know. And so, just that way, like somebody like Jay too, for example, maybe you got a ponytail or something. It would mess me up if I stick my fingers through it or whatever, and I don't want to have to do that either. Okay, and I don't like to hurt people. But palm down under his neck, and I'm waving at his girlfriend. That's Jay, by the way. Right? Another S grip. Why? Just because it's familiar. Okay, if you hate him, do that for your core. Right.
Oh, God.
Right.
Damn, yeah.
But I want to crown him. If I'm squeezing into his neck and I'm just like uber strength person, I could probably get him to tap or whatever. Okay, but I want you to be up around the crown. Right? See how he's almost wanting to give it away? And then if it's somebody who's just like being like hard-headed or whatever, that's what I'm saying. We're going to get in tight and start like really digging out like a figure four on them, okay? Go ahead, Jay. I'll let you see it.
I got a question.
Sure.
When you're reaching underneath the head, at what point are you letting go of the lever?
From which positioning exactly?
When you're going for the twister.
From here?
Yes, sir.
When I go from here?
What point are you letting go of the hand? With your hands?
Probably when I feel like I got this. Because that's like the next step of this all. Because if I can get here, try to pull away, I'd hold for a second, you know what I mean? If I'm in a hurry, I would risk it. You know what I mean? I'd turn right here for sure. But definitely I'd like to have this if I'm trying to be extra secure. On some people though, I can do it right here. Because maybe I can't get up over there, like maybe they got big biceps or something like that. They're a big, stronger person. Maybe I need to ditch that first to get here. You know? And this one I'm gonna be like pulling myself up some too. Into that kind of like locked in position. But definitely, as long as I can, I'm holding this. Because I don't want him to pull that away. Or if he does pull it away, that's what forces it to kind of go that like circular route behind his back. Okay, and then I'm grabbing this claw to get up. And then like I said, I would be attacking from this side first. Not necessarily the bottom side. Right, the bottom side is like where most people would think to get this tap. But I've got this arm completely trapped. And so if I were to bring him to this other side, it's trapped still. So, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I like that one a lot. But he's
Some
not
people
doing
will tap from the arm behind the back.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like me, I've got such bad shoulders. You get it there, you won't have to choke me.
I like doing that. For real. Like, I'll chase it everywhere we go. Right? So when I'm in here, yeah, I think that's a good question. Definitely once I can get right here with this one, I feel a lot more comfortable. You know? Then I can go elbow down. Can you pull away from here, Jay? As he's turning, I'm trying to come
Your side.
right there with that claw. I don't want to do too much. I don't want to be reaching way over there yet. I just want to get here and snuggle up. So I can whisper. Right? You don't want everybody to hear what y'all talking about. Palm down, right there by his ears. You know what I mean? Not below, not too high because it'll slip. Okay, so I say, you know, about where their ears are, waving, boom, right, and I pull. And these are staying straight, by the way. Right, I'm not pulling or doing anything. I'm just keeping it down there, and this is just like that. Okay. When they grab your hands to defend the crotch rib or groin, the banana split, that's when we start doing that whole process. Okay. I don't know how much time we got left, but let's set the clock for 10 minutes and let's run through the twister at least. Because I said so. All right. So which way you want to go with it? Boom, boom. He's gonna roll through right, and then right here, he's got this far. I've made several mistakes. Okay, so then that's where I was talking about maybe the elbow and the ribs or whatever would come in handy, because I would make him have to like really pull this thing apart while I'm trying to take my other foot and like pry this open somehow or pick it. You know what I mean? And then that's what I was telling some of you guys right here. That's where maybe Jay could step over my hip and just put both hooks in and be sitting me up with that kind of like I'm trying to battle from that weird position. So, okay. But, so that's one thing for sure that I would try first if I could. If you turn back towards him this way though, you're definitely giving the twister 100% of the time. Okay? And that's a common mistake that people who aren't familiar with it would be. And so that's why he's holding this and pulling it back, because he doesn't really want to end up necessarily with me going this direction, because he's going to have to chase it. And you could do that, right? Smart play. Putting those hooks in, not just staying married to that, like, that truck idea. Okay. But before he got all that part, when I'm in here, some of you guys are getting caught a little bit out of position. This is pretty good. But you can still see what I mean if I can do this from here, right? You got your figure four and everything or whatever, right? If I can get my hand on his hip, like this on the other side, I can start doing what we call flipping the truck. Okay? I start putting my foot into my foot, elevating his hips, and trying to scoot out. Okay? And that's why I was saying at the beginning I didn't want to end up in this like 50-50 kind of spot, because now we can both hold each other's butt and kind of be battling in this like position to see whoever's going to get the first whatever out of it, okay? So you got to, if you're him, can you do it from here? Oh, look at him. Good boy. He's good at this, man. He is. He really is. He works hard on it a lot. And that's what you got to do too, is be willing to like work on it a lot. And so that's what I'm saying in this position. If I could pick this off and do all these things, that would be better, like hiding my hands or whatever. Another good one against the person who may be slacking a little bit is just a kick and turn. Right? And now I'm still not out of the woods totally, but now I'm across their body. But the best, like I was saying, is if somehow, if you're long and they're short or whatever, the best is to try to get this hip and start reinforcing my own foot. Right? Because if he starts kicking back now, he starts elevating his own hip. Keep going. See how if he does that, I'm just keeping that sustained thing to get here. Turn my knee. Okay, and then again, I can just go hip, shoulder to the back if I want that. You don't have to play the truck. Everybody wants to play the truck though. So, if you're a student, then enjoy yourself or whatever. If you're a coach, try not to kill them. That's just what they're going to do. No matter what you show them, they're going to be like, oh, it's the truck. So, yeah. It's just the way it is. Anybody got any questions about any of that stuff? Okay. So, while we're here, I'll say this, though. As the person who brought you all this, like I said, there's a ton of other options. Right? This is the best option always, or the only option for sure. It's an option for a lot of these things. What you spend time working on is what you're going to get good at. Period. Okay? Early in your career, early in your jiu-jitsu life or whatever martial arts life, whatever you focus on is what you're going to get good at. But that's going to have to be at the detriment of something else, obviously. And you don't have enough time yet to have gathered information on a bunch of different things. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with early on only having a little bit of game. One or two things that you're kind of good at from, here or there or whatever. You really haven't had time to explore something. So whatever your given thing is, whether that's arm bars or the truck or like leg locks or, whatever, getting to the back and getting choked, front headlocks, whatever you like, whatever control only, not really trying to get submissions, whatever you think is the most important thing for you, just work that out. And that's the only way it's going to happen. And it doesn't matter what I teach you or your coach teaches you or whatever it is without like the action of like going through it, with little resistance and then like trying to pull it off live sparring. If you're only a white belt, it's going to be hard to just start doing stuff. You know what I mean? But for us, if I see something new that I want to try, I start trying it on some of the lower ranked guys first a little bit to kind of see what it looks like, and if I can kind of just put it together on my own easily, and then I'll start trying it against higher level people. I don't want to just like wait until like a competition for the first time to pull out this thing, you know, and try to see if it's going to work or whatever. I've done that before in MMA and learned a lot from doing that. So I would suggest trying things more often in class than waiting until competition time and trying it out. I know, you know, there's a big difference, but still, it's worth the effort and practice. And then long term, one of the things you got to think about is, you know, I was talking with some of our guys about this recently too, is like, do you plan on quitting? Like, do you have like an end date in mind for when you're going to stop this? You know, like, when is that if you do, okay? Because then that's going to be like where your goals have to like finish at, you know what I mean? And then like I was saying earlier about the black belt, if that's what you want, is to get your black belt, well then what is your timeline that you're trying to operate this whole scenario in? And if you're just going to quit, then what do you want it for anyway? What's the point? You know? So that's it. You got to think about it, you know what I mean? And I'm speaking from my own perspective too, because I used to be the guy who couldn't wait to have it, and like, you know, and we all want to get it because it's important. It is. It shows your like growth, and it shows what you've done, you know, and you know, being recognized by your coaches and people or whatever. It's a big deal. It is a big deal, and we all want it. No matter what anybody says, all the humble talk or whatever about not everybody wants their next belt. Everybody wants to be recognized. Everybody wants to pat on the back. Everybody wants to be loved is what it ends up being, really, at the end of the day, by people they respect and people they care about. That's what it really, really ends up being. At least for me, is what I found out on the other side of it. Okay? Because I got it. I didn't expect it. It was great. It was a big moment. But then the pressure was on. I had to represent that every single day, every single time I went out to compete, every time I was somewhere else. People knew who I was, and I was a Richie Martinez black belt, and that carried weight in a way that was really uncomfortable sometimes. You know, like trying to be that person, and then you get to be that person, and it's like, oh shit, this is hard. You know what I mean? And so then that's when that opportunity to fold came back. You know, I could go get a real job and like do that whole thing. You know, because I getting older, kid, like I said, kids, wife, everything like that. It would have been easier financially, probably, you know, to just give it up then at that point. But I never had an end date. You know, I never like, I can't see myself without doing this in some way, shape, or form. And so, I guess I'm saying like, you know, in some way we sacrifice our time, and we like we waste our time, I guess, in retrospect, wanting to get to that next level. Just only looking for the next thing and not enjoying like and embracing the moments that we're having right now. You know what I mean? Like when we were all fighting together, man, like we were fighting every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks. You didn't have time to like enjoy it. You had to get right back to work, right back to sparring. You know, and it really, like looking back, I didn't get to enjoy it as much as we should have. We didn't do stuff like that because we were training hard and we were being fighters and like all those kinds of things, you know? And so like you gotta love it if you're gonna really do it in a way that's gonna get you to the final like phase of it all, so to say. And it can't be about the rank at a certain point, because now I don't get it anymore. Like I get a little like certificate, I guess, for being like a active black belt, you know, first degree, third degree, you know, you gotta still be active or whatever, but it's not like I get it for doing anything. You know what I mean? There's no more like gold stars for me. I'm barely able to compete now, you know, in the way that I want to. So I barely get to get that feeling. So what is it? You know, and I can only answer for myself. And if you've been around, you've heard me talk about it a bunch. There's a lot. There's so many things that it's easy to rant and rave about forever, all the different things I get from it. But that's not you. And so if you're not me and you don't want the things that I want or have or whatever, then don't try to like compare yourself to me day to day. And don't try to compare yourself to the things I've done or the way I do this or the way that I've done that or whatever. You haven't walked the path, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. There's choices you make. And like Chase, for example, I used to not understand why he would choose to go home a couple nights a week and not be at the gym sparring and fighting or whatever. I was like, man, he's not committed, man. He's not committed. But now that I got 2 babies, I understand it fully. And that's something I thought about and I think about all the time now. And it bothers me a lot that I acted that way. And nobody really has to know that. But that personally, I didn't know better. Now I know better. That's the journey. That's the benefit of sticking with it and the longevity. And that's worth more than the black belts and the medals and anything else, right? So you got to find something like that, okay? And it could be jiu-jitsu or anything else. And don't let people take that. Like, don't let like a bad group of people sour your experience in some way. You know what I mean? You got to find people that'll see it the way you see it. And we're out here now. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that do it differently, and it's not better or worse or whatever. It's just like what you like, what fits for you, work best for you, all those things. It's your time. You only get to do this stuff one good time. Don't waste it, like, on things that aren't really that important. You know what I'm saying? So like, go home, be with your family. Don't be upset that you didn't get to come train. It sucks, sure. But sometimes you got to make that choice. You know what I mean? And then sometimes I got to tell my son, no, man, I can't come play baseball. I got to go teach. We got some competitions and stuff coming up. I got to be there for my team, right? I don't like having that conversation either. But equally, I tell them, hey, man, he's got a game. I need y'all to cover for me 2 days this week or whatever. I know that's unusual. I really appreciate it. But they can do that because they know I would do stuff back for them. They know it's always reciprocal in that way. And that's what you got to have more than anything else, more than the money, because we ain't making enough money, really. Not really, really. You know what I mean? Most everybody still has a job that's teaching. I'm lucky, I guess, that I get to do this full time, but that comes with its own struggles, right? I get to be my own boss, but now I got to do everything. Now I got to come up with every plan. Now I got to tell people what to do. I don't like bossing people around, but I got to make sure they're doing the right things, right? So in order for me to be who I said I wanted to be, I got the opportunity to. Now I got to grow into that role. And that's every level that you're going to come through in your jiu-jitsu, blue belt, purple belt, brown, black. It's in your life, at your career, when taking out the trash and doing the fries and shit. And then they move you up a little bit to somewhat of a leadership role. Now you're managing or whatever it is, right? That it's always that same process, no matter what. And you got to just have some stick-to-itiveness and keep hammering on it. And it'll come together. And I swear, this ain't how I saw it. If you would have told me several years ago this is how it's going to be, I wouldn't have known how that was possible. And not necessarily like I thought that this is good or bad or better or worse. It was just so different in my mind at this point when I was going to be 40, what I was doing and, in my career, because I was going to be in the UFC and all these different things that didn't happen along the way. Not for lack of trying, right? So that's where you got to be happy with yourself and your own worth and effort that you're putting into whatever it is, right? And then that's all on you. And I'm not saying that in a way to talk shit or whatever to you. That's the way I have to talk to myself. You have to make these choices. And when you're working on one thing, you cannot be working on another thing. If I'm doing arm bars, I really can't be doing back escapes necessarily. So if I'm at home being a good dad, I'm probably not being the best business owner and coach, right? Everything is at the sacrifice of something else, right? So always weigh it. Always weigh it. It's okay to do that. It's okay to take time to weigh out what's more important day to day versus what's important long term. This, hopefully, you plan to do it forever, right? So you can give up a little day or two here and there, right? For everything else to go better in your life. I got guys out of it, man, you gotta stay home so you can do your fucking laundry, man. You say you complain that you don't have clean training clothes. It's because you didn't take a day off to do laundry. You've been here 2 days a week every day. I appreciate it. But now you don't got clean clothes. So is it helpful to have been here that one extra class, or should you have just spent that hour doing some laundry or whatever it is? You know what I mean? It's that simple though. You're stressed out about stuff. I get it, me too. But that's the things that we do. We forget about things that we need to do the things that we just kind of want. And then now we can't do what we want because we didn't do what we needed. And forever in whatever situation, you know. So thank you guys for being here. Obviously, I couldn't do what I do. I couldn't live the life that I choose to without people that come and support me, like with these seminars and with coming, you know, being members of the school and, you know, all the different things that I do, supporting these guys and, you know, the Nashville, South Georgia submissions or whatever gives us all an opportunity to, you know, for my students to go compete and do well, and other guys, you know, to have their teams and their students go out and compete. And that's really what it's all about, is just going out there and getting an opportunity. And if you get an opportunity, that's better than most. That's all you can do, is take the opportunity, do the best with it, and then just keep going. So thank you guys again. I appreciate it so much.